President Biden announced that he is going to forgive $20,000 in Pell Grants and $10,000 in student loans for anyone making less than $125,000 a year. Senior Campus Reform Correspondent Logan Dubil went around campus and asked students how they felt about Biden's new policy. I'm Kate Hirzel, and you're watching Hot Take. Logan, it's great to have you here. Can you fill us in on what students' reactions were when you asked them about Biden's policy?
Thank you for having me again. Yeah, so I recently traveled to the University of Pittsburgh to talk one-on-one with students about Biden's proposal to cancel up to $20,000 of student loan debt per borrower. In the beginning, these students were really excited about this. I mean, this was a plan that they thought would help them out financially and that really had no negative aspects to it. I then asked them if they were willing to contribute their own money to the cause, more specifically, if they would take on a tuition increase to help students on campus who are in debt themselves. This is when they started to realize that this plan might not be free at all. I mean, it needs to be paid for somehow. They said it wasn't fair for them to pay extra, and then they realized that taxpayers were going to be taking on that debt. So this, realization, helped them realize that it isn't fair for anyone to take on debt at all. And, these answers that I've seen when talking with students on campus do really indicate that students may not realize that this plan isn't free.
Were you surprised that students ended up changing their minds?
I was not surprised at all. Across the country, we've kind of seen this push for free, 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 not only from our progressive candidates and politicians out there, but also in the classroom. Professors tend to lean more liberal, and when this is the only viewpoint that these students are exposed to, that is, the opinions and the viewpoints that they tend to lean towards. We've also noticed a trend through the Leadership Institute's campus reform of critical thinking not being taught in the classroom. So when you're exposed to candidates like Bernie Sanders and AOC who are, promoting free this, free that, along with the professor's liberal views, students tend to agree with what they see on the media. So with Biden's proposal being, the newest progressive thing out there, that's why they were so quick to agree with it. And then I brought up the fact that it has a $300 billion price tag and that taxpayers are going to be affected. And this is when they, started to disagree with it. So just letting them know what the plan actually includes is the one thing that I started to notice a shift for.
And the price tag might increase from $300 billion. What was your personal opinion when you heard about President Biden's student loan policy?
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely want to start with the fact that you mentioned that we don't even know how much this is going to cost. I've seen separate reports saying that it could cost up to $1 trillion, and it is frustrating as a college student myself. I am going into my senior year. I actually just started my senior year at Point Park University, and with that, I agreed to take out loans and pay them. I chose my school based off of financial circumstances. I sadly couldn't afford to pay off all of my tuition at once. So that being said, I took out loans, and upon taking out those loans, I understood that it was my responsibility to pay them back. Now, looking at this student loan proposal cancellation, I am, heartbroken for those who didn't get to choose their dream school or didn't even get to go to college because they couldn't afford it. And now my debt and other students' debts are being forced on, not only taxpayers as a whole, but possibly people who couldn't go to college themselves. So, one way or another, they are ending up having to pay for education, even though it's not theirs. And it is very frustrating.
Yeah, well, Logan, it's great to have you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again.
I'm Kate Hirzel, and that was Hot Take.